915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we are broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're here at the KELP studio in El Paso, and we have Mac Daddy Del Norte on the board. Mac Daddy, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good, Andy. How about yourself?
Words are not enough to describe the wonder and joy of this educational journey that we have embarked upon as we are learning to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Yes.
Do you enjoy learning, Mac Daddy Del Norte?
Oh, yeah. I learn every day.
You do learn every day.
Yes, I love learning new things.
Today you learned how to put headphones together. Actually, you already knew, but we have a new headphone.
I actually learned how to put a vacuum together.
Oh, yeah, vacuum cleaner.
That's what I learned.
Yeah.
I actually learned that.
All part of a radio ministry, replacing the belt on a vacuum cleaner.
There you go.
Because we were not about to go out and buy a new vacuum cleaner. We were going to buy the $3 belt. That's what we were going to do. We are very careful with our finances.
Yes.
Oh, that's what they call in the literary world foreshadowing. We are careful with our finances, and today we're going to be talking about finances, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
Awesome.
We're going to be talking especially about finances here at the end of the year.
Oh, okay, cool.
So when it comes to the end of the year finances, does anything come to your mind about your personal finances?
Yeah, it's the time where you tend to spend the most.
Oh.
Because the holidays are around the corner. You're
I know.
thinking about presents, family, turkey, having a good time.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I hear that. That's one of those things, not being surprised every year that there's Christmas again.
Right.
Yeah. So we have two very special guests. Do you know why they're special?
Yes, definitely, because they are the unique expression of an endlessly creative.
Wait, what is happening? Wait, what?
Oh. We have breaking news, Andy.
Breaking news?
Breaking news.
Oh, wow. What happened?
Yes.
Important announcement. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with the KELP radio app. Listen to your favorite Christian teaching and talk programs on your smartphone from anywhere in the world with the KELP radio app. You can download the app on your app store now.
Oh, you can download it on your app store now. Oh, but what if someone was out there and they're like, how could I listen to my favorite teaching, Christian teaching and talk programs?
Yes.
Where should they look?
They should look. They open up the Apple Store or the
should
Google
they look
Play
for
Store
the KELP radio
and
app?
search the KELP radio app.
That's such a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And then all they need is like a phone, which most people have.
Definitely.
A smartphone.
Yes, a smartphone. Yeah.
Yeah. And an internet connection.
Yeah.
And then they can listen to their favorite Christian teaching and talk programs from anywhere in the world.
There you go.
That sounds really handy.
Yes, sir.
Probably for folks who want to take advantage of that, they should download the KELP Christian Radio app today.
Yep, definitely.
Oh, that is breaking news.
That is breaking news.
But we were talking, and since we're talking about finances, it sounds expensive.
No, not at all.
Oh, it's not expensive.
It's actually free.
The best things in life are free, Mac Daddy Del Norte. I think we forget about that and all this talk about money.
Yeah,
the best things in life are free.
Free thing.
An evening stroll in the cool air, watching the sun go down. You can't buy that, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
You know what else you can't buy?
Oh, the KELP radio app.
I was gonna say salvation. That is totally free.
Actually, Jesus paid for it.
He paid for it. Exactly.
Yeah. So, oh man, we need to talk about finances. So we have our good friends here from Truvize.
Nice.
Financial planners. Yeah. They're regulars on this show.
Yes, they're family, man.
Yeah, that's right. And we get great feedback whenever they come in. And we're going to be talking about a year-end financial checklist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
buying stuff like the Xbox that you want to buy, the car. Is that kind of checklist?
Probably not.
What
probably
kind of
not,
Christmas
Mac Daddy. Don't
decorations,
rotate.
your
We
wife
might go a
wants?
little bit more sophisticated than that. Just
Okay.
one step
Okay.
up.
All right. All right.
But it is important for us to remember that this is the most wonderful time of the year.
Yes.
But as we're enjoying our snow globes, as we're enjoying putting up the tinsel around the tree, we do need to bear in mind our finances.
Yeah.
So that we can
Oh, yeah.
not have just a great Christmas,
Right.
but a happy new year.
There you go. Yes. But
So without
after-
further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to Truvize Financial Planners, Drew and Jonathan. Drew and Jonathan, welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun to have these conversations, but not just fun. I do believe it's useful. And we were talking before you came a couple days ago. What are we going to be talking about? And we came up with this idea of let's talk about a checklist of financial. What is it? Financial items. Five financial items to check off before Christmas. I think maybe the first part of this is just kind of what Mac Daddy and I were talking about. A lot of times this time of year, we don't want to be thinking about money. We want to be thinking about Christmas presents sitting around the tree with our family.
Yeah, and it's part of why we're talking about it in November, not necessarily December too, this is right before the holiday craziness of Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. This is a perfect time to let's stop, let's take a look at how the year went. And that's why the first item we talked about was, where did all my money go? That's one of the first things.
Right.
Right. We're now coming to the end of November, and hold on a second. I thought I made a lot more than what I'm seeing in the bank account, right?
That's interesting that you bring that up because there have been a few years where I was sure I made a totally different number.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
And it was a different amount. So that actually is number one. Where did my money go? Review is part of that. Like, where did my money come from?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you got to know how much you're making in order to know where it's gone. And then the interesting thing about spending is that it's kind of like death by 1,000 cuts.
Oh, right.
So when you go back and you look at your expenditures over the last, 12 months or, 10 or 11 months at this point, it's usually the small things that are adding up that you don't expect and you're not really tracking as carefully a lot of times that lead to that question. And I think we all have struggled with that at different points is, man, look, I know I've made money this year, but I don't feel like I have anything to show for it.
Right.
And that's just a terrible feeling to have.
That is a horrible feeling because you spend all year working hard, a lot of stress, all of that. You talk about death by 1,000 cuts. I have this new financial thing I've been doing, and I'd like to hear from Truvize Financial Planning, how you feel about this.
Sure.
So I'm trying to be frugal. I'm trying to be thrifty. So whenever an expense comes up that is maybe a little bit unusual, I imagine multiplying that amount by 365. And then I say, would I still want to spend this if I did this every day? And it's amazing how little I'm spending right now.
Sheesh. Yeah. Because that number can get real big real fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So it's where did my money go? What are some of the things we need to be thinking about with that?
Well, something Drew was talking about with the death by 1,000 cuts, a perfect example I just went through the other day is you go to Costco or you go to Sam's, you go to some of these places, and you start scanning the items, and it's like $8.99, $4.99, $6.99, $12.99, and all of a sudden, at the end, the number pops up, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Looking at this cart and looking at those numbers,
Yeah.
I never thought it would add up to that number.
Right.
For
And
sure.
I think that happens in a lot of things when, eating out, shopping, especially now Amazon, so many things that it's like, oh, $19.99, no problem. Oh, $28.90, no.
Same day
And then
delivery.
You start adding it up, and it's why coming around now in November is a really good time because you can go back and see the total. What's the total amount I've spent so far this year in shopping, in eating out, in travel, in all of these other things? And I think where we start is where we've usually started before, which is if you don't even know those numbers or you don't have a way to get those numbers, that's the starting point. How do you track your expenses, both personally or as a business owner? If you just pay everything in cash and you don't, if you're old school like that, you better have a notepad. You better have something that shows you where you're spending the money.
Yes. So let's talk about what some of those options are for tracking money, and then maybe what some of your recommendations would be. And just as I said, the word recommendations, I do want to remind our listeners that everything in this podcast is for informational purposes only and is in no way to replace the advice of a financial professional. If you need financial advice, you can reach out to Truvize Financial Planning and they can learn the specificities of your situation. But otherwise, we're here for informational purposes only. We're three guys talking. Having said all that, what are some of the options and which ones do you like the best?
I think it's different for everybody what they want to use. For the most part, I think with those that are, already downloading the KELP app from the App Store.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Good plug.
They can also download some sort of budgeting app. We've talked about Monarch a lot here.
That's right,
Monarch Money.
Uh-huh.
Very inexpensive app. You can download it. You can link your bank account or your primary spending accounts to it. And it absorbs all of that information on how you're spending your money, and it categorizes it for you, and it gives you breakdowns so you can understand what you're spending and where you're spending it. So that's definitely one option. That's probably the most painless option, and also the easiest one to digest all of that information so you can understand what your spending habits are.
Right.
But then you can also go spreadsheet. You can go old school. You can download your bank statements and build a spreadsheet and analyze what you're spending there if you want to do that yourself. Yeah. But I think most folks nowadays are just leaning towards budgeting apps so that you can get that information and have an understanding of what your expenses look like.
And I'd also say sometimes budgeting, the word budgeting is like a bad word. So people don't want to do it. They don't want to start it. Just, we're not, budgeting, but the purpose of these budget apps, the purpose of a notepad or a spreadsheet or whatever is just to know the first question we ask, which is where did all my money go? If you don't track it, then you're constantly going to be playing this catch-up game. This is you trying to get ahead of things so that I guarantee you, and we'll get to this in one of the later things, you're spending money on things you have no idea you're even spending money on, or you're spending more money on something than you ever thought that you were just because you don't add it up.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things, $10 for lunch, which is not easy to find anymore.
If it's on sale.
Yeah, $10 for lunch multiplied throughout the year, it can be actually considerable percentage of your income.
That's right.
And where your lunch is that good, that's the question you have to ask yourself. I think I'm speaking to some of our listeners, but also to Mac Daddy Del Norte.
Well, and you're hitting the nail on the head because just like Jonathan was talking about budgeting and kind of like that being a dirty word in financial planning, this whole exercise is about intentionality with your spending. If you really enjoy the time you have with your coworkers and eating out lunch and you want to spend money on that, then do it.
Sure.
If you can afford to do that.
Yeah.
But it's a zero-sum game, right? So if I spend money here, I don't have money to spend elsewhere. So this whole exercise is to get a better understanding of where your money is going throughout the year so that you don't end up with that dread of where did all my money go, but also so that you can be intentional with your spending so that if you've identified areas where, why am I spending money on this particular subscription, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or I'm spending way too much money on eating out and I want to spend more money on XYZ, you can then make those decisions and you're educated enough to do that about your own situation so that you can be intentional and feel much better about how your money's being spent on a regular basis.
Yeah. So when someone's done all of this, they've looked at the app. I like what you said. Just if someone's just thinking about an app for the first time or a spreadsheet for the very first time, it's too late to do that for this year. But just printing out your bank statements and going line by line. What are your suggestions when you haven't had a budget and it's the end of the year? And you're like, I really need to look at next year. And you print out those bank statements. What are some things to look for and maybe some decisions or how do you make decisions for next year?
I think when it comes to budgeting and cash flow planning, the two main differences for people and business owners is, do they have a stable, same W-2 paycheck every 2 weeks or every month? Is it always the same income coming in, or is it something that fluctuates? Mm-hmm. Are you sales? Are you, commission based? Whatever it is, that's first. Mm-hmm. How much is coming in?
Yeah.
And then you can figure out how much is going. The coming in, usually people can get that number relatively easy. Wherever you're getting your pay stub or wherever you get paid from, you can add that up and see how much you made. Mm-hmm. Then is that how much you're going to make next year? Is that how much you're going to make next month? We have to start projecting out what that is, right? Then starting from the basics of, like Drew said, of your bank, wherever your mortgage or rent or car payments or all those things come out of, it's very easy nowadays to go online and grab the last 30, 60 days. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you it won't take you longer than 30 minutes to go through and just add up what the recurring expenses are, the ones that happen every month. Mm-hmm. If you can then take your income and subtract the expenses that are always going to come out, you'll be left with that discretionary spending number that you could then be intentional about how you want to spend it versus how you've been spending it.
Right.
So that's first. How much is coming in, how much has to come out, and then what's left.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So we're talking with Truvize Financial Planning today. We're with Drew and Jonathan, good friends of this program. We're talking about 5 financial items to check off before Christmas. We talk every day about how we're on this educational journey here on 915 Talk, and I do believe it is important for us to be reminded of the importance of stewardship. That is a biblical principle, and it's just a good principle to live by so you can have peace in your life and not be awake at night wondering how you're going to pay the bills next month. So I always appreciate Truvize Financial Planning. Their website, if you are interested in reaching out to them, is truvize.com. That's TRUVIZE.com. We do need to take a break. When we get back from the break, we're going to be talking about a subscription audit. Be interesting to know how much the average American spends on subscriptions. But we're going to talk about all that. Before we go into the break, this is your daily reminder that 915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. The website is desertvoice.media, and you can listen to this or any previous 915 Talk conversation by going to desertvoice.media and clicking on that link. Also 915 Pray. We will as the church in the borderland, we do need to be joining together in prayer, and this is just our small part as a radio ministry to bring our community together just before the Lord and really believing in great things for our community, our neighborhoods. So 915 Pray. If you miss those radio broadcasts at 9:15 a.m. and 9:15 p.m., you can check that out at desertvoice.media. In any case, we appreciate all of you who have joined us on this journey as we learn to love our city, love our neighbors, give God all the glory. We're going to go into a break. We'll be back with Truvize Financial Planning. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
You have a bookkeeper, a CPA, an attorney, maybe even a financial advisor. Yet your finances still feel scattered. At Truvize, we bring it all together. Taxes, investments, insurance, estate planning, one coordinated strategy built for business owners. We work with your professionals to keep things organized and get things done. One advisor coordinating every moving part so you don't have to. You can visit truvize.com to learn more. TRUVIZE.com.
915.
Testify.
used to be a very angry person at the world, being young, having kids, having a wife, being a father, just meeting those expectations that the world puts on you. It's not about the world, it's about, your relationship with God. And I didn't realize that until I was older, and because I was living a life that I shouldn't have been living a sinful life, living for the flesh instead of living for God. I was hanging around people I probably shouldn't have hang around with, drinking, going out to parties, and coming home like 2, 3 in the morning. There was one day that I completely broke down. My son was asking me like, Dad, how come you're like this? How come you're always mad? And yeah, that day I did end up bringing out my Bible. I just broke down and started crying, because I felt the way Paul felt. Read your Bible, guys. If you don't know what to read, go into Proverbs, go into Psalms. God, He's protected me in so many different ways. He's the reason why I'm here. I'm trying to help other people reach God. He could truly change your life. My name is Miguel Ipave. I'm from El Paso, and if Jesus did this for me, I know He could definitely do it for you.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb
and by the word of their testimony.
desertvoice.media.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you're listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecker. Today, we're with Truvize Financial Planning. Drew and Jonathan, good friends of this radio ministry. We are talking about a checklist, a financial checklist at the end of the year. And before we went into break, I said we're going to talk about a subscription audit. So what are some of the subscriptions that are out there? We have TV,
Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean,
all
even
the
with
streaming services,
Walmart Plus, Amazon
Yeah.
Prime, some of those bigger ones.
Yeah, sure. And the one that subscription that doesn't cost anything?
KLP.
Oh, the KELP radio app. That's right. You're starting to understand the game around here. Yeah, it has been fun to see people sign up for that. But there's no membership required. Of course, it's free. But before we went into break, I said I think it would be interesting to learn how much the average American spends on subscriptions. So I looked it up during the break, and according to the internet, I have a number, and I'm going to ask Drew and Jonathan of Truvize Financial Planning, and we're going to do this in the Price is Right method. I'm going to ask you how much you think the average American spends per month on subscriptions, and you have to give the closest number without going over. So we'll start with you, Jonathan.
I'm going to say 82.
82.
Oh,
Okay. Like, do you think that's really high or really
I think it's
Drew?
low.
You think it's low, Drew?
But
Okay.
But now that you said, do you think that's too high? I'm wondering if he's.
I'm no way. That was not a leading question.
Oh man, I would say 109.
109, 82 and 109. Okay, so Jonathan is going to win this.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so he didn't go over, and he was also closest. But $90 per month.
$90.
Yeah, which comes out to $1,080 per year. And what's interesting about these subscriptions is, of course, a significant portion of them goes to unused services. The other part is there's certain football games,
Sheesh.
and you have to buy the whole subscription to
That's
watch
right.
one a week, and it is an emotional response for sports enthusiasts.
Yes.
And it's interesting how they get you.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
playing on your emotions, and it is interesting to once a year, maybe not during football season, to really take stock of, is this amount that I'm spending annually on one game a week
Right.
producing the joy?
Yeah, it's also a perfect time during the season where if your team's no good, just go ahead and say, do I really want to keep on spending the money to watch this team every week? Why do I keep putting myself through this weekly punishment? It's a perfect time right now.
Jonathan of Truvize Financial Planning. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
Oh no, you've never subscribed to watch that one game.
No, it's part of my heritage.
Oh, my
to
goodness.
spend money to
And
watch
now
this.
our
each and
next
every-
topic is useless expenditures.
Oh, man.
I am a Cleveland Browns fan. I'm also Ohio State University fan, so that's they kind of
well, that
balance
makes
each other
sense.
they
out.
balance each other out. Yeah, for sure. So $90 per month. And I guess the audit is to kind of understand what services are unused.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's where we go back to. It ties in perfectly with the first one. Where is your money going? Where did all my money go? You start adding up, and especially, it used to be 3 years ago, 4 years ago, however many years ago, it seemed like it was COVID time, when they really started pushing these subscription streaming plans, and everybody realized, oh, I can cut the cord with cable and spend significantly less and see all of these things I never saw. That's when things were $4.99 and $7.99, and oh, something might be expensive at $8.99. Now everything is $16.99, $18.99. I mean, the prices have gone up exponentially almost. You start adding those up, and you could absolutely be spending in the hundreds easy per month on maybe things that you might actually use 40-50% of them.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for subscriptions, it's they'll get you with the free amount, the free trial offer. You put in your card information. You were excited to try it, and then you totally forgot about it. That's the game. I'm also going to say I think $90 is low. And I'll give you an example of another subscription, car wash. Car wash subscription. So I have a personal story about this with a car wash that shall remain unnamed in El Paso. I signed up for their subscription purchase because service because at that time I was working driving around town knocking doors, door to door, and so I felt like I had to have a clean car.
Yeah.
The subscription was $20 a month. To me, that sounded good, fair, because I was washing it 3-4 times a month.
Yep.
Well, I go into my bank account, and this is why it's important to review your bank account.
Yep.
There was this expenditure of $30 a month coming out, and I could not understand for the life of me what company that was. What they were doing is taking a different name.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Putting it, that's who they were charging from, not the brand name that you know at the car wash.
Right.
And it took me forever to figure out what the $30 a month was. So they had increased it from 20 to 30.
Yep.
And also it took me a long time to even figure out who it was so I could turn off that subscription.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to review those bank statements.
It is. And a huge part of this subscription audit is what you were paying when you initially subscribed. It may have seemed valuable at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But now that price over the last year or 18 months or even 2 or 3 years has doubled or tripled.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm not too sure that Disney, Hulu, ESPN package that's $40 a month or $30 a month with commercials is worth it anymore.
That's the thing. Now they added the
Yes.
commercials. That's why people just need to go back to
Cable.
the KELP radio app.
Oh,
Darn. Slow learner. My bad.
Yeah, so we have the subscription audit. Would reviewing things, it's not necessarily a subscription, but these monthly expenses like insurance, would that be part of it?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead, Drew.
No, go ahead.
Something we talked about the last time we were here is the hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars a year that clients and people we know we've been able to see them save just by saying, hold on a second. When's the last time I looked at my homeowner's policy? When's the last time I shopped my auto insurance? Am I really this tied to XYZ company?
Yeah.
It's something you should do every year. November's a great time to just take a little bit of time, shop your insurance policies.
Yes.
And you could save probably even more money than in the subscription audit when we're talking about streaming services and things like that. So absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're with Jonathan and Drew of Truvize Financial Planning, truvize.com. That's TRUVIZE.com. Good friends of this program. But right now we have Charlie One on the phone. Charlie One, what are you seeing out in the roads this afternoon? Charlie One.
Andy, good afternoon. And we have some tight spots right now in the commute, but I want to start first with on the east side, Edgemere and Balmaray, we have a crash. This one with injury, Edgemere and Balmaray. Then we go to Gateway and Colorado, we have a crash there, PD on it. But this one, PD not there yet. George Zeter and Physicians Drive, that's a crash. The busy intersection there, George Zeter and Physicians Drive. Then the freeway, as usual, this time of the afternoon, stacked up both sides. I'm talking about I-10 east to the Watersport, back up to Piedra. A lot of stacked up traffic on those eastbound lanes. Also, I-10 west to the Watersport, backed up to Paisano, headed towards that Spaghetti Bowl area. I-110 south to Watersport, back up to I-10. So in that particular area, central area, just a lot of stacked up traffic there. A lot of the culprit is just a lot of traffic going to the Watersports right there. But those just caution in those areas is going to slow you down. Andy, back to you.
Charlie, today we have with us Jonathan and Drew of Truvize Financial Planning. We're talking about an end of the year, just going over our finances, seeing how money was spent, how we can spend it better next year. I think there's one line item that each Borderland resident will see on their bank statement that they will know is a good expenditure of money, and that will be the annual cost of Menudo. Where would you recommend that they try those bowls of Menudo?
Absolutely, and it's not it's not an expensive item. It's not like if you go to get ribeye steak or some kind of expensive codfish or something like that. It's very reasonable, and the good thing is that it's easy to get to your table because it's already prepared. All you got to do is serve it, and you just put the oregano, the onions on, and you're good.
Yeah.
Where is it? That's me, Perdita Cafe, 3120 Traywood, just east of George Dieter. Andy, back to you.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll talk soon. And we're back with Jonathan and Drew of Truvize Financial Planning. We were talking about subscriptions. The prices go up, just looking at whether it's worth it, talking about even subscriptions to things like car washes. Everything's subscription anymore. Everything. And insurance. All the insurance commercials are about shopping around. And regardless of what insurance company you go with, you need to shop around. And it's even things like cell phone plans. I spoke with someone who obviously will remain unnamed, and I said, well, how much do you spend for your cell phone plan? And she told me that she has a special cell phone plan that they don't have it anymore. And they call her all the time and try to offer her a different cell phone plan, but she's not going to fall for it because she only pays $90 a month. And I had to explain to her that getting a new cell phone plan will absolutely save you a lot of money. 90 is quite a lot. She had no idea. And so I think, I don't mean to make fun, but I think there are so many things in life where we think it's a certain way. We need to go out and ask. We need to figure it out. And if I'm just going to say this, if you're a little bit older, ask your kids to help you out. Go through all of this, comb through all of it, really look at, are you paying a fair price for the services that you are using, and are those services really sparking that much joy in your heart that it's worth spending all that money?
A common area now that you mentioned that is with home internet, home phone, and traditional cable. So many times, especially with home internet, they raise your prices every year or so. You can call them and have them negotiate that down. But also, it's good to go through and look because that's a price that's constantly coming down for the amount of speed that you get. So you can sometimes pay the same amount and double the amount of speed you have. But we see that a lot of times, especially with folks who have just been in those plans for years. They can spend $350 a month for all three of those services.
Right.
And that's just way more than you need to.
It's crazy.
Getting your kids involved is a really good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also throw in, this is not the things we've been talking about, but just talking about checking costs. And because of the business we are in, if you have an IRA, an investment account, an annuity, or whatever, and you haven't looked at how much does it cost for me to continue to be in this account, in this product, in this mutual fund, in this whatever, this is absolutely something you should look at in the same vein as checking these other subscriptions, because those numbers, you multiply that out, or you don't even have to multiply it out. Sometimes it's so much on so much money that it dwarfs any of these other things we're talking about. And we are constantly meeting with clients that are coming to us from other advisors or haven't had an advisor, whatever it is. And when we explain to them the internal costs of some of the things they're in, they have absolutely no idea. They didn't know it worked that way. And we're talking about true changes over the long term when it comes to their savings, investments, retirement, et cetera. So that's another area. Make sure you look, make sure you know what you're paying.
Yeah. Okay. So absolutely, know where your money's going, and I think all of us have heard this before. This isn't the first time, but I hope that these. Our conversation is hopefully inspiring a few folks to actually go and do it. So we have the subscription audit, which is part of our first part of the conversation. Where did my money go? Now we're going to talk. It's a little bit more sophisticated. Business owners. What do they need to be keeping in mind now that the year's winding down?
We've talked about here so many times starting to be proactive instead of reactive. And this is a huge part for business owners, for 1099 contract employees, independent contractors. If you don't know what your tax bill, what your tax number is probably going to be next April by now, or you're not pretty darn close, then you're being more reactive than proactive.
Sure,
absolutely.
Right now is a perfect time to look back, especially we're talking about some business owners, and it doesn't have to be some gigantic business. I mean, you could have a business with 5, 10, 15 employees that, how did this year go? How is it looking? Rather than having the CPA conversation or the tax preparer conversation in January and February, you need to have it now of saying, what came in, what went out, very similar to the personal cash flow audit, and what does my profit look like it's going to be this year? Because if you don't have that money set aside, or if you think I have all this extra money for XYZ, but not realizing what the tax bill is going to be, then you're going to come up with, as happens so often, that April surprise, the call from the CPA saying, you owe this much in taxes. You know that you under withheld, or you know that you didn't send enough in your quarterly estimated tax payments.
Yeah.
And that's something that we try to help people avoid as much as possible.
Sure.
So be proactive. Start looking at those numbers beforehand. The other reason, not just from knowing, but then you could also maybe do something about it too. And Drew could go into this more, but we are not on the side of just go buy a truck or go buy some piece of equipment to write it off.
Right.
You're spending $1 to save whatever tax bracket you're at, 25 cents, 35 cents, 37 cents. So don't just go buy something to save the taxes. You're chasing the back end of the whatever it's called, the dog chasing its tail or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
You need to focus on, do I need something that I would have maybe bought next year, but I had a really good year this year, so I'm going to accelerate that purchase and buy it now to try to bring my profit number down. Things like that. We're just trying to be proactive instead of being reactive.
Right. That's so interesting that you bring up. I don't know how many businesses I know that at the end of the year they're buying trucks for this. It's not an experience I've had, needing to buy a truck for a tax write-off, sadly.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to hear that there is another part to that. And what you're saying is, what I'm hearing you say is, take a moment to think about what you want to buy next year anyway.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that is our default understanding a lot of times with tax planning. And there's kind of a running joke that you see that G-Wagon write-off. I got to spend money, so I'm going to go buy something super expensive that's over a certain weight so that I can deduct it. The reality is, when you go and run those numbers, if it's not something you need, it's not in your interest to buy it for your business. Like Jonathan said, spending $1 to save 20 cents is just foolish. But it is a good time to go back and have a look and say, okay, here are the things and the plans we've had. And if we've had a really good year, maybe we accelerate those purchases before the December 31st deadline, and we do that. The other thing you can look at is there any other extra space, if I've had a good year, for me to be putting money away into retirement accounts on a pre-tax basis, so that I get that tax deduction.
All right.
If those accounts aren't set up with your business, maybe there's something that can be done in certain types of accounts to get money in, and then having a long-term solution and being proactive about what those funds can be contributed to save money into taxes. But the point is for the most part, if you're not already thinking about that and you don't already have an understanding that this year is maybe going to be a good year, it's such a gut punch to come to April, and if you had to file an extension September, October, and there's this unexpected tax bill. It also really limits your ability to put the cash aside to pay that tax bill if it's really unexpected. Maybe you have to go into debt to pay it. Yep. There's all kinds of wisdom that comes with just being proactive about it. And it doesn't, if you have a good bookkeeper, or if your books aren't in order, getting them in order so that you have an understanding of what's coming in and what's coming out. I mean, that's like your first line of defense for you to be able to make those kinds of decisions and choices. But now's the time. You're kind of already approaching the deadline, but now's the time. If you haven't done it, go take a look at it. Start having that conversation with your CPA or tax preparer. See what's possible before the year's out.
I'll tell you another thing that I see often talking about bookkeeping is business owners coming to, again, tax time. They didn't look in the current year. They're now in the year after. And so next April, they're meeting with their CPA. The CPA comes back. Here's the revenue, here's the expenses, here's the profit, here's what you owe. Okay, well, got to write the check. And there isn't really any look at the details of the categories that when a bookkeeper is going in and looking at your expenses, they're saying, okay, this is this category, that's a write-off. This is this category, that's not. And they're doing that with all of these different expenses. And I can't tell you how many times you can have a business owner go back and say, wait a minute, all of these things that you are counting as not a write-off, they are a write-off. This is what they're for. Bookkeeper, okay, I didn't know that. And how many times does that happen to how many businesses over how many years? So again, when we go back to where did my money go? What are you spending you shouldn't be spending? That's a huge one for business owners. Make sure that your expenses, that the money that the bookkeeper is tracking is tracked correctly.
Right. Okay. So we talked about this, I think, in one of the first conversations when you came on this program, but just about tax planning, what you can expect. And obviously I'm giving you a very leading question right now, but I think it's worth talking about what you can expect from a CPA with tax planning as compared to a financial planner like you all. So where's the difference there?
Well, the first thing to understand is that there's a CPA and a tax preparer. They for sure are going to be the ones that gather all the information and prepare your taxes and file them.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to do that. Then you have some CPAs, you have some tax professionals that do tax planning, where they're taking a look at what resources are available for you to lower your overall tax liability beyond just, like we said, purchasing something at the end of the year. But what we have seen happen on that side of things is that there's so much demand for tax preparation that there really are very few CPAs and tax professionals in general that are doing throughout the year tax planning. Okay. So that's where we would come in and help assist and be a part of that conversation to say, hey, here's a proactive approach to reducing your tax liability, and doing some tax planning throughout the year as part of your overall financial plan, and not just doing tax preparation.
Right. Okay. So CPAs are fantastic. They're also usually really busy.
Yes.
Overwhelmed many times.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what you're saying is they'll get it filed right if they're a good CPA.
Right. Yes.
The difference being you're going in and helping with strategy. Is
That's
that
right. Yeah. Doing things proactively, like entity selection, like what kind of entity should I form and how can that benefit me on a tax basis? Making sure the appropriate retirement accounts are set up and contributions are going into those accounts. These are things that can't be rushed right before the filing deadline. They usually have to be accounted for, prepared, and there's all kinds of deadlines for getting that paperwork done and those accounts set up. So you have to have a much proactive approach. So if you've answered the email from your CPA in January and it says, here's all the things I need, and then you provide that to them and maybe you're filed by April or so and there's not an extension, it's too late to do all those things. You should have been doing those things in 2025, not 2026.
Right. Okay. So Before we continue on the conversation, because we're going to continue on without a break, because there's a lot to talk about, we are with Truvize Financial Planning. They are KELP Radio Impact Partners, so thankful to you all for that. You can find them at truvize.com. That's TRUVIZE.com, or you can go to KELPradio.com, look for that Impact Partner section of the page. It'll give you the link to Truvize. So grateful to Truvize and all the other Impact Partners. It's local businesses, nonprofits, churches, educational institutions who are joining us in this journey to serve our community through this radio ministry. So grateful to all of them, and it is super fun to talk to you guys because you're so passionate about what you do. So always a lot of fun, and we're super grateful. So if folks out there are looking for someone, check out Truvize. All right, so we've been talking about business owners. Should we go on to IRAs, HSAs, FSAs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just like we had talked about previously, of maybe one strategy could be putting money away. You've had a great year. There are pre-tax accounts you can put money into that is a true deduction. So rather than spending $1 on some depreciating asset, you can invest $1 and get the write-off, and it's still your money, and it'll grow into something larger than $1 down the road. So not just business owners have access to that, as your listeners would know. Individual retirement accounts, IRAs, HSAs, so health savings account. Those are accounts where you can make those contributions. They're deductible now. They will lower your taxable income now.
Okay.
And then they will grow without being taxed during that growth. So those are accounts where you can get money into all the way up until you file next year, but many times it just makes sense to look at what came in, what came out this year. Is there something extra? Let's make that contribution now, especially coming up to the holiday and Christmas season. Sometimes that money can get spent. And now, yes, you could have done it later, but what if you don't have that money any longer because you spent on other things? So just another good reminder of, you can make, I'm not sure what the new 2025's IRA numbers are, 7,000.
7,000 and then 8,000 if you're over 50.
So if you're married, I mean, that's $16,000 that you can get into long-term accounts rather than just have it be spent on something else. And it has the double benefit of decreasing your taxable income now. FSAs, the reason why we want to talk about that, flexible spending account, are not like HSAs. Those are use it or lose it.
Okay.
So if you have money in your FSA, then you need to spend that money by the end of the year. Go to your doctor's appointment. Go look at the thing you wanted to look at with that particular specialist, whatever it is. Because if you don't, that number resets January 1st, and you lost some of that benefit.
Okay. All right, so there's all these different accounts. So I think I'm going to kind of put this together with what we're talking about with business owners, tax previews, buying a truck or not buying a truck, as we put it. And then we have retirement accounts. There's like so many options. To me, it feels overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Where do I begin?
Yeah, well,
because the other one I'm going to throw in is charitable giving.
Yes, charitable giving. That's a great one too. That's right. I think not to say the same thing over and over again, but the first place you got to start with any financial plan is money in, money out.
Okay.
What's coming in, what's coming out. Once you understand that, then you can start to understand what's possible when it comes to enrolling in your flexible spending account at work and making that contribution so you can use those funds towards either dependent care like daycare, or you can even set them up for health care, and then getting that money out and spending it on there and not wasting it when it expires. But once you have an understanding of what's available, then you can start to see which one of these tools fits. I think that the reality of the situation, if we're being honest, is that it is complicated, right? There are a lot of different accounts. Even with the IRA contributions Jonathan was describing, there are going to be some folks who are not eligible for that.
Sure.
So there is some time and effort that goes into to handling that. And then also that's why there's professionals like Jonathan and I that can help with those more complex situations to really siphon down what's applicable to yours. But the best place and always the key place to start is cash flow, money in, money out, and then figuring out what pertains particularly to your situation.
Right. Yeah, I guess what's coming to my mind, I'm probably going to make this, explain this in a primitive way, but you can absolutely chime in. For all of us, we need to do the first two. Where did my money go?
That's right.
In the subscription audit.
Yes.
Now, some of us have been blessed to have something extra or something maybe a little bit more complicated, sophisticated, whatever the word would be. And when I hear all of this, I'm like, that's so much. IRAs, HSAs, FSAs. Do I need to accelerate purchases? And again, at the risk of sounding like an infomercial, that's why it's important to call someone like Truvize, someone who can help you slow down, get another pair of eyes on it. Because, you know, if you're running a business throughout the year, you're focused on that business.
That's right.
And you haven't had a minute to think about all these things, but you need to take care of it because, you know, a couple hours of going through all this could save you millions on your car insurance.
It's true. But and I think this is important. There isn't some sort of like magic formula. Finances are like working out. It's like getting healthy. You got to watch what you eat. You got to get to the gym. You got to exercise. There are no substitutes. Maybe nowadays there might be one substitute.
Yeah, that's right.
But for the most part, there's no substitute for that. So it does take time, but with finances being such a huge part of our lives and the impact that they have, they deserve your attention. So just be resolved to give it your attention, take little chunks at a time, go out there, research, find the YouTube videos, find the things that you need to do to be able to learn about your situation, and just be patient because everything, it's like there's a movie where it says what one man can do, another man can do. I love that that quote from a movie called The Edge, Anthony Hopkins. But that is exactly, we don't need to feel overwhelmed. What one man can do, another man can do. You can do it. You can go out there, you can learn. And if you're in a really complex situation, you're really limited on time, that's when a professional is there to help you out with that.
And we're just talking about measuring. There's a famous athletic quote of, when performance is measured, performance improves. If you don't measure what you're doing, if you don't have the starting point of how much do I make and how much do I have left over and where did my money go, it's not just going to magically improve, for 99.9% of people. So let's start by measuring and then you can improve. So it's not going back to making it as simple as possible. We just need to, where do I start? Start there. What comes in, what goes out, measure it. And we can we can move on from there and find different areas of improvement that can come from, whether it's income coming in or lowering expenses, whatever that is, you'll get to, but you won't get to that if you listen to everything we've said today and said, it sounds like too much. Anyway, let me move on.
Well, it's interesting. What's crossing my mind as I'm listening to all of this, as you're sharing, is that doesn't sound like fun. and it's interesting because I'm going to say this again. I've said this on previous conversations when you come in. The two of you get so passionate talking about helping people save money, helping them really maximize their investments. It really is truly a part of who you are, and I love that. But for most people, all these conversations doesn't sound like fun. But what else is not fun is not knowing what's going on with your money. And like what we're saying is you just bite that bullet and for a few hours kind of knock some of these things out and find some more breathing room financially next year. And it's absolutely worth that time. And then it seems a little bit more like fun.
Absolutely.
We have had the benefit and the pleasure of seeing people who have done these things consistently, and the fun that leads to, and the peace of mind that leads to. And not everybody has had that experience. And maybe even some people feel hopeless with their finances because they feel like they're in a rut. But we've seen, man, I have some crazy situations where clients have paid off debt and now they're saving and now there's excess cash available to do the things that they want to do. But they've put in the work to get there, even with advice that we've given them. So our passion comes from seeing the fruit of what other people have accomplished and the labor that they've put in there. But that fruit's available to everybody. But we got to plant, we got to water, we got to sow, right? So.
Yeah. And we said this earlier on in the program, but we work so hard all year, too hard to be spending money where we don't know where it goes. So we only have a few minutes left. Let's just quickly get to our fifth financial item for our checklist, and that's beneficiaries and passwords.
Unfortunately, the other thing that we've seen over the course of our careers is the unfortunate circumstance of somebody passing away and then having to work with the surviving spouse or kids or family members in situations where they have no idea where anything is or how to access anything because that individual did it all. And it's wonderful to have somebody that handles all of your family's finances. That's great. That's a blessing. But what we're encouraging those people to do is create a spreadsheet, a document, whatever it is, and keep it in a secure place, and have that document say where your accounts are, how to access them, login information, everything that somebody would need if you were to pass away to be able to get in and know what you have, how to pay a bill, how to change, the simplest things become very difficult for especially somebody grieving and their electricity is about to get turned off because they didn't realize that account was in the wrong, that money's in the wrong account and that's where the electric bill came out, et cetera, et cetera. Making a simple document for whoever is left behind to make their life easy.
Yeah, I think that this can be a hard conversation, and I think in some families, I'm going to say it, where one person is taking care of the finances, it can feel disrespectful to ask them this question. But it's absolutely worth that awkward conversation.
Absolutely.
To just say, hey, I don't need to know anything right now, but can you put it in a box and tell me where that box is?
Absolutely.
That's right.
So I just find that to be so interesting. We all know that someday our time is going to come. And we just don't want to think about it, obviously. But it really is the most loving thing to make sure at least information is available to our beneficiaries.
Yes.
And while you're doing that, check your beneficiaries. When you're writing down that account, make sure that account is going to the right person that you want it going to. For all your retirement accounts, for your life insurance policies, everything, you name it. Make sure that it's going the right place.
Those beneficiary designations will trump your will. If your will says it's supposed to go XYZ, but the beneficiary designation in a retirement account says someone else, the beneficiary designation in the account trumps whatever was in the will. Very important.
This whole area is so complex. I think, again, that's why it's so important for us to be aware that we have a responsibility. And part of the responsibility is if we don't have a full understanding, it's worth going out and finding some help. So
absolutely.
Jonathan and Drew, thank you so much for coming in today. Always love these conversations. They're fun and useful, which is kind of one of those things I like to have on this broadcast. Fun and useful, and I hope that our listeners are challenged to really think through stewardship, especially as the year is coming to an end. As we always say, let's learn to love our neighbor, love our city. Let's learn to love stewardship and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.